Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're going to a place that, frankly, I think a lot of us try to avoid thinking about.
Hmm.
We're going to the intersection where the shiny, polished world of, billion-dollar corporations crashes headfirst into the gritty, desperate reality of the inner city.
It's a collision that usually happens in the shadows, isn't it? But today, we're looking at it under the harsh, buzzing fluorescent lights of a morgue.
We're diving into the world of Girl Missing by Tess Gerritsen. And look, on the surface, if you just read the back cover, you might think, okay, this is a medical thriller. We've got the bodies, the cops, the mystery drug.
Sure, all the classic elements.
But as we went through the source material, I realized this isn't just a whodunit. It's a full-on dissection of a dying city.
That's Albion, the fictional city where this all takes place. And it is so crucial to understand the setting before we even, touch the plot.
All right, let's talk about Albion. Because the atmosphere Gerritsen builds it's suffocating. It's not just a city. It's a character in the story. It's decaying. It's broke. The infrastructure is literally crumbling.
But, and this is the key tension, it's preparing for this massive bicentennial celebration.
Yes.
Exactly. It sort of feels like putting a fresh coat of paint on a condemned building.
Yeah.
You have the political elite, and they're desperate to show off this shiny new facade to corporate investors because they need the money. And then you have Dr. Kat Novak, our protagonist, working in the basement, literally digging into the rot that the city is trying so hard to hide.
Let's talk about Kat for a second before we get to the body.
Yeah.
Because she is not your typical hero cop or like a wide-eyed detective.
Not at all. She's a medical examiner. And she has a very specific philosophy. She specifically says she prefers the dead to the living.
And she means it, doesn't she?
Oh, she totally means it. To her, the living are messy. They lie, they have agendas, they try to spin the narrative,
But the dead.
The dead just tell you the truth. If you know how to look, they have no reason to lie to you anymore. They are, in her mind, the only honest citizens left in Albion.
That just sets the tone perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, let's go to the inciting incident. It's 7 a.m. Kat Novak is hoping for a quiet start to her shift, maybe a jelly donut, the morning paper. The city's just waking up.
And then the doors swing open.
And a gurney rolls in.
It's a Jane Doe, an unidentified woman. And right away, the details of this body, they tell a story of contradictions.
This is the hook. Let's set the scene on this victim. She's young. She was found in the projects of South Lexington. Now, for context, South Lexington is described as a war zone.
Oh, absolutely. We're talking barbed wire around the playgrounds, boarded up windows, a place the city has just, essentially given up on.
Correct. But here is the anomaly.
Right.
This Jane Doe is wearing a purple pullover and brand new Nikes.
Brand new.
Which immediately feels off. If you're destitute in a high-crime area, brand new Nikes usually don't stay on your feet very long, especially if you're found, unconscious or dead.
Precisely. It suggests she hasn't been on the street for very long. But physiologically, the story gets darker. The autopsy reveals foamy edema in the lungs.
Okay, unpack that for us non-doctors. What does foamy edema actually look like, and what does it really mean?
It means her lungs are heavy with fluid. She basically drowned from the inside out. That is a classic textbook sign of a massive drug overdose. Her respiratory system just shut down, fluid built up, and she's suffocated.
So the police, specifically Detective Lou Sykes and his partner Vince Ratchett, they just take one look.
One look at the needle tracks on her arm and the fluid in her lungs, and they write it off.
To them, it's just paperwork. Another junkie in the projects who made a bad choice. Case closed, let's go get lunch.
Exactly. They call it social Darwinism, which is such a cynical, awful way to view your own city's population.
The idea that the problem is just solving itself.
Right. But Kat isn't buying the easy answer. She's methodical. She finds no needle at the scene.
Which is odd for an overdose, isn't it? I mean, usually the paraphernalia is right there.
Often, yes. But then she finds the clue that just blows the whole anonymous junkie theory wide open. She's examining the body, rigor mortis is set in, and the victim's hand is clenched tight, like a claw.
Fighting to hold on to something until the very end.
Kat has to physically pry the fingers open, and inside she doesn't find a vial of drugs or a weapon or a locket. She finds a pink matchbook.
A matchbook. Now, I have to pause here because this feels like such a specific, almost noir detail. In this day and age, who uses matchbooks?
That's the first thing that stands out. It feels archaic. But then you look at the branding, the toile. This isn't a matchbook from a corner bodega or some dive bar.
No.
This is from one of the most exclusive, expensive restaurants in the city, a place serving like Nouvelle cuisine, the kind of place where an appetizer costs more than this girl's rent for a month.
So you have a girl found in the projects, dead of an overdose,
Hmm.
clutching a souvenir from the highest echelon of society. It's a physical link between two worlds that should never, ever touch.
And it gets more specific. Inside the matchbook, there is a phone number. And it's not printed, it's handwritten. In fountain pen ink.
Fountain pen ink, that just screams old money. That's not a Bic ballpoint scrawl.
Exactly. It implies a deliberate personal connection. So Kat, being the tenacious investigator she is, decides to just bypass the police. She knows Sykes won't care about a matchbook.
He'd probably laugh at her.
He would. So she calls the number herself.
She leaves a message. And who calls her back?
A man named Adam Quantrell.
And this is where the plot really just,
Yeah.
kicks the door down. Because Adam Quantrell isn't just some rich guy. He is the president of Cygnus Pharmaceuticals.
We are talking about a man at the very, very top of the corporate food chain, a titan of industry in Albion. So now Kat has to ask herself, why does a pharmaceutical billionaire's private number end up in the dead hand of a Jane Doe in the slums?
And their meeting, the first time they come face to face, is just electric with this class tension. Adam comes down to the morgue to identify the body.
The visual contrast is so stark. You have Kat in her scrubs in this peeling, decaying basement that smells of formaldehyde. And in walks Adam Quantrell. He's wearing a camel hair jacket, a tailored suit. He looks like he just stepped out of a magazine.
But he's not acting like a CEO. He's terrified.
That's the thing that catches Kat completely off guard. He isn't there out of some sense of civic duty. He is visibly shaking. He's terrified that the body on the slab is his stepdaughter, Maeve.
So we immediately see a crack in the armor.
Yeah.
He's a father first, CEO second, at least in this one moment.
He steels himself to look, and when the sheet is pulled back, there is this massive, just audible release of breath. He confirms it is not Maeve, but, and this is key, he lies to Kat almost immediately after.
Yeah, the matchbook lie. I loved how Kat handled this. It was so smart.
It's a great character moment. Kat asks him, do you know this girl? Did you give her this matchbook? And Adam, having just recovered his composure, he puts that CEO mask right back on. He says, no, I must have left that matchbook at the restaurant. Anyone could have picked it up.
Which is such a flimsy, transparent lie. It has his private number in it.
Kat knows he's lying. She traps him in it mentally, but she can't prove it yet. She senses he's hiding a connection. But since the body isn't Maeve, Adam just walks out. He retreats back to his ivory tower.
But the universe of Albion isn't done with him yet. Because this wasn't an isolated incident. The bodies start piling up.
This brings us right to the pattern. Kat gets a second victim, Xenia Vargas, found in a stairwell, also in South Lexington. Same profile. Young, needle tracks, no trauma, just that deadly foam in the lungs.
And then a third victim. And this is the one that really changes the forensic landscape. Nikos Biagi.
Nikos is crucial because he breaks that junkie stereotype. He's a young man, but he's a bodybuilder type. Massive muscle mass. He's found in a coma, not dead, at least not yet. He's taken to Hancock General Hospital.
So because he's alive, even briefly, they can get better data than they can from a corpse.
Exactly. And this allows us to pivot into the science of what is actually killing these kids. Kat visits the ER and talks to a Dr. Dietz.
Dr. Dietz. The weary, burnt-out ER doctor who has seen it all. You can just picture him.
He's the voice of medical reality here. He tells Kat, off the record, that something is wrong with the toxicology reports. He mentions a biphasic peak.
Okay, we need to deep dive into this because biphasic peak sounds like Star Trek technobabble. What does it actually mean in a toxicology report?
It's such a great detail. So when you run blood through a gas chromatograph, think of it like a very fancy filter that separates a liquid into its chemical ingredients based on weight and charge. You get a graph. Heroin creates a specific spike. Cocaine creates a different spike. It's like a chemical fingerprint.
Right, makes sense.
But this drug, it creates a spike with two distinct phases, a double hump, if you will. It's a signature that doesn't match heroin. It doesn't match fentanyl. It's something synthetic. It's something new.
And Dr. Dietz warns her. He calls it a wonder drug.
He says it hits the streets and kills almost instantly. The only reason Nico survived as long as he did is because of his muscle mass. His body had more tissue to absorb the toxin before it completely shut down his lungs. But for a petite girl, it's a death sentence in minutes.
So we have a mystery drug that acts like a superweapon against the human respiratory system. And we have Adam Quantrell, a pharmaceutical CEO, acting incredibly shady.
Yeah.
Kat isn't one to sit around waiting for lab results that might get lost, which, spoiler alert, they do.
Right.
She decides to confront the lion in his den.
This scene at the Quantrell estate is fantastic. It's pure class warfare. Kat drives her battered Subaru, which she loves, by the way, into Surrey Heights. She passes these huge stone pillars, manicured lawns. Everything is quiet and perfect.
And she interrupts the dinner party.
A black tie dinner party. You have Adam's girlfriend, Isabel, who is the socialite looking perfect in gold lame. And then in barges Kat, literally smelling like the morgue, bruised, tired, demanding answers.
I love Kat's audacity here. She basically accuses Cygnus Pharmaceuticals of being the source, right to his face. She corners Adam in his study. And finally, the armor cracks.
It has to. Adam realizes Kat isn't going away. He admits why he's so involved. He's not protecting his company, at least not primarily. He's looking for Maeve.
Maeve, the ghost haunting this entire story.
Maeve is the antithesis of Adam's world. She's 23, rebellious, dyes her hair green, wears black leather. She has completely rejected her stepfather's wealth. She's disappeared into the underground of South Lexington.
And the matchbook.
That was Adam's lifeline to her. He gave Maeve matchbooks with his private number telling her, if you ever want to come home or if you're in trouble, just call.
Wow. That is heartbreaking. So when Kat found that matchbook in the Jane Doe's hand...
It meant Maeve had given it to her. It meant Maeve was close to the victim. Adam is desperate. He realizes that his money and his status mean absolutely nothing in the projects. The people there don't trust cops, and they certainly don't trust men in camel hair coats. He needs a guide. He needs Kat.
And Kat, despite her better judgment, agrees. This kicks off this really tense partnership. They head into South Lexington together.
And it goes wrong almost immediately.
Wrong is, it's putting it mildly, they get mugged.
It's a brutal reality check. They're driving through the projects, looking for clues, trying to find anyone who knew Maeve, and they get jumped. It's violent. Kat's Subaru gets stolen, which is a huge blow to her, and they both get physically beaten up.
But in the middle of this chaos, amidst the punches and the fear, one of the attackers delivers a message.
A teenager holds a switchblade to Kat's throat and whispers, "Lady cop, back off. She doesn't want to be found."
Whoa, that just changes everything.
It does. It confirms three things. One, Maeve is alive. Two, Maeve knows people are looking for her. And three, she has protection. The people beating up Kat are doing it on Maeve's behalf, or on behalf of whoever controls Maeve.
So she's not just some victim hiding in a basement. She has status in this underworld.
Exactly. And while Kat and Adam are licking their wounds in the ER, getting stitched up right alongside the very people they're trying to help, Kat gets a massive breakthrough.
The science comes back. Dr. Deese has fled town scared for his life, which we'll get to. But he leaves Kat a note. He identifies the mystery drug.
Zestranel.
Zestranel. It sounds like a comic book villain, but the reality is so much scarier. We need to explain what this stuff actually is because the chemical mechanics are fascinatingly evil.
It is an experimental painkiller developed by Cygnus. Dietz's note reveals that it's a morphine analog. But here is the terrifying part, and the note uses a very specific analogy. It binds to the body's opioid receptors like crazy glue.
Crazy glue. Okay, I want to visualize this. What does that mean?
Think of your brain's pain receptors like parking spots. A normal drug, like morphine, pulls into the spot, turns off the pain, stays for a few hours, and then drives away. Zestranel pulls into the parking spot, slashes its own tires, and pours concrete around the wheels.
It never leaves.
It stays bound for up to 72 hours.
72 hours from one dose.
Yes. It was designed for terminal cancer patients, people in excruciating constant pain. The idea was compassionate, give them 3 days of relief with one pill. But the side effect window is incredibly narrow. Because it binds so tightly, if you take just a little too much, it suppresses your respiratory drive completely. You stop breathing.
And because it's crazy glued to the receptor.
Standard antidotes like Narcan, which basically try to bump the drug out of the parking spot. They can't move it. It's stuck. So the victim slips into a coma and suffocates, and there is almost nothing the ER doctors can do.
That is a chemical weapon. And Adam, he knows this. He must.
He recognizes the name. He takes Kat to the Cygnus lab that very night bypassing security because, well, he's the owner, to test the blood sample from the second victim, Xenia Vargas. And it's a match. The lethal drug killing kids in the projects is definitely Cygnus property.
So now Adam isn't just a father looking for a daughter. He's a CEO realizing his company is leaking a lethal agent onto the streets. And the implication is just hanging there in the air. Did Maeve steal it?
That's the fear. But before they can even answer that, they run into a wall. A political wall.
This brings us to the whole political machinery segment. Because you'd think, okay, we identified the poison, it's Zestranel, let's call the mayor, let's hold a press conference, let's warn the streets.
Logic would dictate that, but this is Albion. And Albion is broke.
The bicentennial.
The bicentennial. Mayor Sampson is facing re-election. The city is courting these massive corporate investors who are coming to town for the party. The city needs cash, desperately. The last thing, the absolute last thing the mayor wants is a headline that says, "Killer drug epidemic in South Lexington."
It's all about optics.
It is. Kat goes to the mayor. She goes to her ex-husband, Ed Novak, who just so happens to be the acting district attorney. And Ed is a piece of work.
Ed represents the worst of the system. He's just awful.
He does. He embodies that social Darwinism we talked about earlier. He looks Kat right in the eye and basically says, "Why are you bothering with this?" To him, the victims are trash.
He calls them trash.
He does. He argues that if junkies want to overdose, let them. Why ruin the city's credit rating to save people who are, in his view, killing themselves anyway?
It just makes your blood boil. It's not that he's just evil, it's that he's so calculated. He thinks he's doing the responsible thing for the city's budget by letting these people die.
Exactly. It's bureaucratic evil. And because Kat refuses to play along, because she keeps pushing, the system starts to fight back, evidence goes missing. The lab samples for the first Jane Doe are lost by the courier. Dr. Dietz is pressured out of the hospital because Cygnus is a major donor. It's a full-blown cover-up.
And then it stops being bureaucratic and starts being explosive.
Right.
Literally.
The bombing.
The bombing of Kat's house. This isn't a brick through the window. This isn't a slashed tire. Kat returns home. Adam is with her, and moments after she steps inside, boom, the house is gone.
The forensic detail here is chilling and very important for the profile of our villain. It wasn't a gas leak. It was a bomb rigged with a pull friction fuse and a 60-second delay detonator.
Why is the delay important? Why 60 seconds?
Because street punks don't use delay detonators. That requires expertise. It requires access to military or industrial explosives. But more importantly, a 60-second delay is designed for one thing: to let the victim get comfortable inside the house, take off their coat, maybe walk to the kitchen before it blows.
It ensures they are inside.
It's an assassination attempt. It proves that this isn't just about street dealers protecting their turf. This is professional. Someone high up is scared of what Kat is finding.
And this act finally pushes Adam all the way in. There's no turning back for him.
It does. He realizes this isn't just about Maeve being a rebellious kid. This is about murder. He even moved Kat into his estate because she's homeless now. Her clothes, her furniture, her entire life is ash.
It also shifts the dynamic between them. Adam sees Kat stripped of everything. Literally, she's wearing his bathrobe the next morning, and he sees her resilience. He commits his resources to the investigation. He realizes he can't trust the police or the DA or the mayor. So he and Kat decide to go back into the war zone, South Lexington.
And this time, we get the real backstory on Kat. She's not just visiting the projects. She's from there.
That revelation makes so much sense. That's why she cares so much. That's why she fights for the Jane Does.
She escaped the gravity of that place, but she still feels the pull. She knows the layout. They visit Papa Earl, an old blind man who is a community elder. He's the eyes and ears of the neighborhood, despite his blindness.
And through Papa Earl and his grandson, Anthony, who charges Adam for protection, by the way, smart kid, they start to piece together the network.
They visit Nikos Biaggi's parents, who are just in deep denial. They visit Esnia's terrified roommate, who's living in a drug den. But the real break comes from a little girl jumping rope. Celeste, she's this street-smart kid just skipping rope on the sidewalk, singing rhymes, but she's watching everything. She sees the photo of Maeve that Adam is showing around.
And she drops a bombshell.
A total bombshell. She doesn't know her as Maeve. She doesn't know her as the rich girl. She knows her as Jonah's lady.
Jonah's lady. That sounds incredibly ominous. Who is Jonah?
Jonah is the new crime lord of the projects. He's the big man who took over the territory. If Maeve is Jonah's lady, she's not just a victim. She is the consort to the kingpin.
It's a father's worst nightmare.
Yeah.
His daughter isn't just missing. She's royalty in a drug empire. And the police, Sykes and Ratchet, they seem suspiciously wary of interfering with Jonah.
It seems like there's an unspoken treaty, you know?
Yeah.
The police stay out of Jonah's territory as long as the violence is contained. But Zesternel has broken that treaty. The bodies are bringing heat.
So now we have the distribution network, Jonah. We have the user base, the victims, but we still need to understand the source. How did a tightly controlled experimental drug get from a secure lab to a warlord's stash?
That takes us right back to the science of the leak. Kat and Adam confront Dr. Esterhaus, the project supervisor at Cygnus. Now you have to picture Dr. Esterhaus. He's nervous, sweaty, very defensive. He insists the lab is Fort Knox. Keypads, alarms, the works.
But then he explains the one crystal theory.
This is fascinating. Zestron-L is so potent that it's stored in crystal form. One tiny crystal dissolved makes 50 doses.
50 doses from one crystal. One little grain.
Yes. So to steal a street supply worth of drugs, you don't need a truck. You don't need a briefcase. You just need to pocket a few grains of sand, essentially. It's incredibly easy to smuggle out if you have access.
And who had access?
Maeve.
Of course.
Adam has to admit he got her a job doing cleanup in the lab. She was fired for erratic behavior, green hair, showing up late, general insubordination, but she knew the access codes. And Esterhaus admits the codes haven't been changed in a year.
It looks terrible for Maeve. She had the access, she has the connection to Jonah, and she's an addict herself.
Yeah.
The narrative seems to be pointing directly at her as the person who stole the drug to feed her boyfriend's business.
It's the perfect frame. The rebellious daughter stealing from daddy's company. But, and there is always a but in these deep dives, the source material gives us a little glimpse into Dr. Esterhaus's mind at the very end.
This is the twist.
While Adam is beating himself up about his daughter, assuming she is the criminal, Dr. Esterhaus is internally panicking. He's terrified, not because of Maeve, but because he realizes the police might ask for a polygraph.
Why is he scared of a polygraph?
Because he is guilty.
Whoa, so it wasn't the punk kid, the rebellious daughter.
The implication is that Dr. Esterhaus, the respectable scientist in the white coat, the project supervisor, is the one who leaked the drug, maybe for money, maybe for debts. We don't know the full motive yet, but he is the source.
That reframes the entire moral of the story. You have everyone braining the junkies and the street kids. You have the mayor calling them trash. You have Adam blaming his own rebellious daughter. But the poison didn't start in the gutter. It started in the lab.
It brings us right back to that theme of appearances versus reality. The monster isn't the punk with the switchblade or the girl with green hair. It's the man in the clean white lab coat. It's the politician in the suit.
So let's just recap the massive web we've uncovered in this investigation. We have a confirmed lethal drug, Zestron-L, that acts like a chemical weapon. We have a missing heiress, Maeve, who is living as a warlord's girlfriend to survive. We have a mayor and a DA actively suppressing the truth to protect a party and a bond rating. And we have a professional hit squad blowing up houses to keep it quiet.
And at the center of it all, you have Kat Novak and Adam Quantrell. Two people from opposite sides of the universe, the morgue and the mansion, realizing that their worlds are not as separate as they thought. The corruption in the boardroom bleeds directly into the alleyways.
It raises a massive question for us to chew on and for you to think about. In a city like Albion, or really any city facing economic collapse, how much is a human life actually worth?
That is the calculation, isn't it? The cold, hard math.
If hiding 3 bodies secures a corporate investment that creates 1,000 jobs, do the powers that be make that trade?
The social Darwinism argument says yes. The system decides who is expendable. Kat's heroism lies in her absolute refusal to accept that math. To her, the Jane Doe and the Nikes is just as important as the mayor.
And that is why we root for her. This deep dive into Girl Missing has been a wild ride through the anatomy of a conspiracy. We've unpacked the science, the politics, and the personal stakes.
It serves as a stark reminder. Sometimes the most dangerous poison isn't the chemical in the vial, it's the indifference of the people in charge.
Ooh, that is good. That is a heavy thought to leave you with. Is the monster the drug dealer on the street corner or the scientist in the white coat? And in a city desperate for money, how many bodies are the authorities willing to overlook before they count as a crisis?
Indeed. Always look for the matchbook in the hand. It might tell you more than the police report ever will.
Thanks for listening to The Deep Dive. We'll see you next time.